When you look at Ferrari's 2026 engine upgrade, the most important thing to understand right away is that this is not about chasing instant domination or flashy headline numbers. This is Ferrari admitting that something deeper was broken, and that realization only came after a brutally frustrating 2025 season. Last year, the Ferrari power unit could look sharp in qualifying, but across race distance it was fragile, unpredictable, and constantly forcing the team into defensive decisions. Narrow combustion windows, thermal sensitivity, and conservative energy deployment meant Ferrari were always reacting instead of controlling the race. And when the engine is dictating compromises, the entire car concept starts to unravel. That's exactly what happened. Cooling demands pushed Ferrari into bulky bodywork, which increased drag and limited aerodynamic freedom. Development paths were constrained, not because the engineers lacked ideas, but because the engine couldn't consistently support them. Over a full season, those compromises stacked up. Ferrari weren't losing because they lacked ambition. They were losing because ambition without stability just creates stress points, and 2025 exposed every single one of them. If you're enjoying this kind of deep, honest breakdown and you want more analysis like this all season long, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. It really helps us push toward our goal of 2,000 subscribers. For 2026, Ferrari have done something that sounds simple but is actually radical for them. They flipped the relationship between the engine and the car. Instead of designing an engine that survives inside a compromised chassis, they're building the entire car around an engine that is inherently stable, predictable, and efficient. That mindset shift matters even more under the 2026 regulations, which are the most restrictive and demanding Formula One has ever seen for power units. With limited engines allowed across a long calendar and a heavy emphasis on electrical energy, there is nowhere to hide fragility anymore. This is why Ferrari's approach isn't about peak horsepower, it's about control. Control over temperatures, over energy flow, over drivability, and over development direction. They've accepted that absolute performance numbers are meaningless if you can't access them consistently. The goal now is sustained performance, lap after lap, stint after stint, without the need for lift and coast, conservative maps, or constant protection modes. Let me ask you something here, because this really shapes how you see Ferrari's future. Do you think Ferrari's biggest problem in recent years was a lack of raw power or a lack of reliability and control? Drop your answer in the comments. This engine reset is the foundation for everything that follows. Every technical choice Ferrari make for 2026 builds on this new philosophy, and the most controversial decision of all sits right at the heart of the combustion chamber. That's where things get really interesting, and that's exactly where we're going next. If you're with me so far, give the video a like, and let's break down the decision that truly changes everything. Now let's talk about the decision that raised eyebrows across the paddock, because this is where Ferrari's 2026 engine upgrade really separates itself from the past. The move to steel alloy cylinder heads is not a cosmetic tweak or a marginal experiment. It's a statement that Ferrari are no longer willing to chase theoretical advantages at the expense of race reality. Under the 2026 regulations, each driver is limited to just 4 internal combustion engines across a long, punishing calendar. That single rule changes everything, because durability is no longer a secondary concern. It becomes a performance multiplier. For years, aluminum cylinder heads were the default choice because of their weight advantage. Lighter meant faster, at least on paper, but aluminum has limits, especially when you push combustion pressures and temperatures to the edge over thousands of kilometers. Ferrari learned that the hard way. In 2025, the engine could flirt with peak performance, but only briefly, and only under carefully controlled conditions. Sustained running exposed fatigue, forced conservative maps, and stripped the engine of its theoretical advantage when it mattered most. Steel alloy flips that equation entirely. Steel can tolerate far higher thermal and mechanical stress without degrading. That allows Ferrari to operate the combustion chamber in a much more aggressive but stable window. Higher combustion pressures mean better thermal efficiency, and better efficiency means you extract more usable energy from every ignition event. That might sound like a small gain, but over a race distance it compounds into real lap time. This is why Ferrari aren't chasing a headline horsepower number. They're chasing repeatable efficiency that shows up every lap, not just once, on a dyno. What makes this decision even smarter is how the 2026 rules neutralize its traditional downside. The minimum power unit weight jumps significantly, which means the penalty of heavier materials is no longer decisive. Ferrari recognized that absolute lightness has lost its power as a defining metric. Stability, predictability, and durability now matter more than saving a few kilos. If you're enjoying this level of technical detail and you want more breakdowns like this as we push toward the 2026 reset, don't forget to subscribe and help us reach 2,000 subscribers. Your support makes this content possible. This wasn't an easy call internally. Early simulations suggested steel might struggle with mileage targets, which is why Ferrari initially developed an aluminum fallback in parallel. That could have split focus and slowed development, but the breakthrough came through revised metallurgy and smarter cooling strategies, supported by their collaboration with Austrian specialists AVL. Once data confirmed that steel could not only survive but outperform aluminum over long distances, Ferrari made a crucial decision. They abandoned the fallback entirely and committed to one architecture. That clarity of direction is a hidden performance gain. Instead of dividing resources, Ferrari can now optimize a single concept without compromise. Let me ask you this, because it really gets to the heart of modern Formula One. Would you rather have a lighter engine with peak power you can only use sometimes, or a slightly heavier one that delivers the same performance every single lap? Drop your answer in the comments and let's see where you stand. And this combustion decision doesn't exist in isolation. In fact, it unlocks something even bigger. Once the engine becomes more efficient and thermally stable, it changes how energy is stored, deployed, and how the entire car is packaged. That's where Ferrari's 2026 project really starts to snowball, and that's what we need to break. Down next, once you understand the combustion decision, you start to see how Ferrari's 2026 engine upgrade reshapes the entire car, not just the power unit. Efficiency and stability inside the engine immediately reduce the heat that needs to be managed, and that single change has enormous consequences. In 2025, Ferrari were forced to run relatively large radiators because inefficient combustion generated excess heat. Those cooling demands dictated bulky side pods, disrupted airflow, and limited aerodynamic freedom. The engine was effectively designing the car, and not in a good way. For 2026, improved thermal efficiency allows Ferrari to shrink radiator size without compromising reliability. Smaller radiators mean tighter bodywork, reduced drag, and cleaner airflow to the rear of the car. That directly improves diffuser performance and reduces sensitivity to ride height, which has been a major weakness in recent seasons. This is the moment where the engine stops being a constraint and starts acting as an enabler. If you've ever wondered why Ferrari's aero concepts often looked promising but failed to deliver consistently, this is a huge part of the answer. The changes don't stop there. Ferrari have paired the new combustion architecture with a redesigned high-density battery that is both lighter and more compact than the 2025 unit. This gives engineers more freedom in how energy is stored and deployed across a lap. Last season, energy management was one of Ferrari's quiet weaknesses. Deployment was conservative, recovery phases could unsettle the car under braking, and drivers were often forced to adapt their style to protect systems rather than extract performance. The new battery architecture is designed to smooth those transitions. Smoother energy flow means more predictable braking, better balance on corner entry, and more consistent power delivery on exit. That consistency matters enormously under the 2026 rules, where electrical power makes up half of the total output. Combustion stability directly improves how efficiently energy can be harvested through the MGUK, increasing usable electrical energy later in the lap. Over a race distance, that translates into strategic flexibility instead of constant compromise. If this breakdown is helping you see Ferrari's 2026 project more clearly, take a second to like the video. It really helps the channel grow toward 2,000 subscribers. Another major advantage of this setup is operational freedom. Instead of protecting fragile components with conservative maps, Ferrari can run more aggressive strategies without risking reliability. In 2025, lift and coast was a constant feature, costing lap time, increasing tire degradation, and limiting overtaking opportunities. The 2026 engine is designed to eliminate that defensive mindset entirely. Sustained performance replaces peaks, followed by decline. Let me throw a quick question your way here. Do you think packaging and cooling freedom will have a bigger impact on Ferrari's performance than raw engine power under the new rules? Yes or no, let me know in the comments. Because the way this engine delivers its power doesn't just affect lap time, it changes how the drivers interact with the car, and that's where the human element becomes decisive. That's what we need to talk about next. This is where Ferrari's 2026 engine upgrade stops being just a technical story and starts becoming a driver story, because stability and predictability completely change how a car can be driven at the limit. For Lewis Hamilton, this engine has the potential to be genuinely transformative, not because of headline power figures, but because of trust. Hamilton's driving style has always relied on absolute confidence under braking and precise throttle modulation on corner exit. When the car responds exactly as expected, he can push deeper, rotate the car more naturally, and commit earlier on power. In 2025, Ferrari's power unit repeatedly undermined that trust. Conservative torque maps, inconsistent energy deployment, and thermal protection strategies forced Hamilton into defensive throttle application, especially in traction zones. Instead of attacking corners, he was managing systems. That hesitation costs lap time and, more importantly, confidence. A more stable combustion process combined with smoother electrical deployment restores that critical connection between driver and machine. It allows Hamilton to drive on instinct again, rather than calculation. If you're excited to see how this could reshape Ferrari's driver performance, make sure you're subscribed and help us push toward 2,000 subscribers. For Charles Leclerc, the benefit shows up differently but just as powerfully. His greatest strength has always been consistency over long stints and intelligent tire management. In 2025, power unit instability often disrupted that rhythm. Variations in deployment and recovery placed extra stress on the rear tires, especially in traction-limited conditions, forcing him to manage pace instead of control it. A more efficient and thermally stable engine reduces those fluctuations by delivering smoother torque and more predictable energy recovery. That consistency allows Leclerc to maintain balance across an entire stint, and that consistency goes far beyond lap time. It directly influences strategy, flexibility, tire life, and the ability to attack or defend when it matters. Over a full season, marginal gains like these compound into something much bigger. So here's a question for you, because this always sparks debate. Who do you think benefits more from this engine philosophy, Hamilton or Leclerc? Drop your answer in the comments and tell me why. What makes this even more interesting is that Ferrari aren't chasing immediate performance glory. Their testing approach reflects a much calmer, more mature mindset. The launch spec power unit running in Barcelona isn't designed to impress on timing screens. It's a validation tool. Ferrari's priority is correlation, making sure dyno data, simulations, and real-world behavior all line up perfectly. That discipline was missing in 2025 when discrepancies between expectation and reality cost the team valuable time. By prioritizing mileage, reliability, and clean data first, Ferrari are laying foundations before unlocking performance. This staged escalation is deliberate, and it leads directly into how Ferrari plan to avoid the mistakes that derailed previous seasons. That bigger picture is what ultimately defines whether this engine upgrade is just smart or truly game-changing. And that's exactly where we're heading next. When you step back and look at Ferrari's 2026 engine upgrade as a whole, what makes it truly stand out is not any single material choice or whispered performance figure, but the coherence of the entire concept. Ferrari have learned the hard way that modern Formula One punishes fragmented thinking. In the past, strong ideas existed in isolation, but they were rarely allowed to reinforce each other. For 2026, every element of this engine serves a clear purpose, and each one feeds directly into the next. Ferrari's testing strategy makes that clear. The power unit that appears early in the season is not designed to shock anyone on a timing screen. It exists to validate the architecture, to ensure correlation between simulation, dyno data, and real-world behavior. In 2025, Ferrari lost critical development time chasing mismatches between expectation and reality. Once confidence in the data was gone, everything else unraveled. This time, mileage, reliability, and understanding come first. Performance is unlocked only after the foundation is proven solid. That approach is even more significant given the changes inside Ferrari's power unit department. With long-standing figures departing for Audi, Project 678 represents both a technical reset and a cultural handover. Fully committing to the steel cylinder head, architecture is not just an engineering decision, it's a declaration of confidence in the remaining leadership and the direction they've chosen. Ferrari are no longer hedging their bets. They are backing one idea and pushing it as far as it will go. This is systems engineering in its purest form. Combustion stability improves efficiency. Efficiency allows tighter packaging. Tighter packaging improves aerodynamics. Better aerodynamics reduce drag and energy demand. Reduced energy demand improves deployment flexibility and drivability. Every loop feeds the next. If this engine delivers as intended, its impact will not explode in one spectacular qualifying lap. It will reveal itself slowly and relentlessly through race-pace stability, strategic freedom, and development headroom across the season. And that's why this moment matters. In a regulation reset as deep as 2026, control often beats raw speed. Ferrari have finally accepted a hard truth that has defined the modern era: power without control is wasted potential. This engine is Ferrari's attempt to reclaim control at every level, from combustion physics to driver confidence. If you believe this could be the smartest Ferrari move in years, hit like on the video and make sure you're subscribed. Help us reach 2,000 subscribers so we can keep bringing you analysis like this. Before we wrap up, I want to hear from you. Do you think Ferrari have finally learned the right lesson, or do you need to see it on track before you believe it? Drop your answer in the comments. And if this engine does what Ferrari think it will, this won't just be remembered as an upgrade. It will be remembered as the moment Ferrari stopped chasing performance and started defining it.